Hey, mamas, welcome back to Mamas Building Businesses. I have the lovely Venus here with me again today, and we are going to be talking about the second topic in our work-life balance mini series, which is how showing up as your best self, your most balanced self, and creating work-life balance um, really positively impacts all the people around us. So, Venus, thank you so much for joining me again today.
Thank you for having me, Erica. I'm excited to be here. And again, I'll just let people know a little bit about myself. I have been an entrepreneur for quite a long time, went into the corporate world, and now seeking to actually go back into, well, I'm dabbling into the entrepreneur lifestyle again, which is exciting. It brings new opportunities. I'm a mom of three boys and I have a grandbaby, so all boys in my life. So they are challenging me sometimes. So this topic is really hits home because when we talk about work-life balance, as we stated before, we really have to have some type of habit, routine. We need to reevaluate, realign ourselves. And I think the biggest piece when it comes to our family and our work is really how we're impacting the people around us in that same context. So our habits, our routines, like how is that impacting the people who are watching us? So at work currently, I have a team of 132 people. So with me, what can I do as soon as I step on the floor, as soon as I come into the room, as soon as I'm having a meeting? How is that impacting them? If I'm not together myself, I'm probably going to be all over the place. They're going to see a leader who doesn't have her stuff together. Let's just I'll probably be emotional. I'll have highs and lows, and I wear my expressions on my face. So, so a lot of times I have to put myself in check because I don't want my team to not be able to perform. I want them to be able to also feel like they're balanced through the day and they can really leave at the end of the night feeling accomplished. And so I take that to heart because, I put myself in check several times when it comes to that. So it's important for me to be able to level out myself so that I can actually level out my team and they see that they feed off of that.
Yeah, I love that. And let's just take a little step back because I think it's important to note that when we're talking about the people that we work with, that does again look different for everybody, right? So when we say the people that you come in contact with on behalf of your business or behalf of the work you do throughout the day, we're talking about teammates, we're talking about employees, we're also talking about anybody who is in like a customer facing business or role. So we're also talking about customers and clients. And you're absolutely right. If for example, myself, in my marketing agency, I headed up a team. We had 12 employees that worked directly for me. And, if I'm having a bad day and I show up and I'm being short and impatient, it sort of puts everybody on edge. So when I take that time to find my balance, right, and I have a very healthy separation between like, here is work, here is my life, and how do I make them work in harmony, right? So when we're talking balance too, I think it's important to note that that doesn't always mean 50-50. It doesn't mean that work gets 50% and life gets 50%. There's times when it's going to be 80-20. There's times when it's going to be 90-10. There's going to be times when it is closer to 50-50. But we are talking about how they are able to work in harmony so that life isn't overshadowing the work and work isn't overshadowing the life, right? So, just across the board, if because you lead a team of so many people and you work with so many personalities on a daily basis, um, how do you find yourself sort of like recentering and sort of like getting your mind back right when you are in tough situations, right? Because it can be draining to have so many personalities in a small confined space or in a kind, we always hear like too many cooks in the kitchen. So when you are in those situations, how do you like get yourself back to like, okay, let me get my mind right and approach this without like the stress and the pressure?
So let's face it, Erica, we can't do what we do without people. And people are our number one asset. And so for me, I look at it as being a servant leader in my home with my children, but in the work capacity, in the entrepreneur lifestyle, I got to know each person, maybe not to the full extent of everything in their life, but my goal was to be able to connect with them on just one level. It could be the mom level, which was huge for many women, right?
Mhm.
And that piece alone, moms come in, they're feeling overwhelmed. You tap into an area of their life where you're like, let me give her a word of encouragement. Sometimes that moment for me helps me to reset. Sometimes I need to walk away because maybe too many things are coming up and take a walk, check my heart, you know, ask myself, why are you doing this today? Because my number one goal is the outcome. When I begin something, I have the outcome or the end in mind. And so, what does that look like when we're working with teams and clients and customers and employees and sometimes family that's working with you too? Because we have that as entrepreneurs, those are our number one supporters at first, sometimes. Depends, on what you're doing. And so it really is balancing out those relationships. Those relationships they're really the piece that gets you to a certain space where you can, hey, this is we can't do what we do without you. So for me, I personally stop and I make it a priority to have a conversation, especially when I have a big team like now of 132 people in that capacity. I schedule it out in my day. Okay, this portion of my day, I'm going to go and connect with people. This portion of my day, I need to work on strategy. This portion of my day, I need to do this. And so I really do schedule that out for myself. And that looks different daily because our priorities change. What's important today may not be important tomorrow. So if that gives you a little bit of insight when we're working with bigger teams now versus smaller teams. I've had teams of 8, 9, 10, 12 people in building a business for a kitchen, for a meal prep kitchen. I had a team of maybe about 21 people. That was the most I've ever had there. It's easier to connect on those levels. It's easier to take those moments of being able to breathe. But people are that's our number one priority because that's why we do what we do.
I love that. And I think it's important to remember too that, whether somebody is an individual entrepreneur, they're a solopreneur, it's just them, whether they have a team, whether they have staff, it's important to remember that part of, like, you're still a leader, right? You're still a
Right.
visionary. So whether it is in a large capacity or a smaller capacity, you are a visionary. And I think that it's really important to remind ourselves that we have the ability to shift the energy in the room, right? So we
That
have
is so
all
true.
yeah, like we have all been in situations, whether it's been in a previous job, whether it has been in, sometimes even in family, like where if somebody is stressed out or tense, they walk in the room and you feel that shift, right? Like you feel that tension. And I think it's important to remember that works in reverse too, or in a more positive manner too, right? Like if you're stressed out and I walk in the room and I am just like radiating like calmness and peace and positivity because that's the space that I'm in, it instantly would make you feel more at peace. And so I think it's really, really important. It's just important to remember that we can shift the energy. And so that starts with checking your own energy first before you
I
start your
agree
day.
with that. And I think we touched on this in the last episode when we talked about gratitude. It really does rewire the brain. It's the way we look at our day. So when we're talking about work-life balance and we look at our day and how we're planning out our day or our weeks, whatever that looks like for you, how are we stepping into that? Yes, we can be bombarded with a ton of different things coming our way, from performance to finances to We could talk all day about finances, right?
Yeah.
You know, what our input is, what our output is. But in reality, when we look at every single piece of that, what are we grateful for? Sometimes I'm like, I'm grateful for the chaos today. I'm grateful for the chaos today because I was, blessed to be in this position to be able to handle it. So I'm capable of being able to handle it. So if I can handle it, and this is the way I check myself, if I can handle it, then I have the tools within to be able to manage it. And if I can manage it, then I can create this space where other people won't feel the intensity of all the heaviness, because as a leader there's a heaviness that you carry with you, so you have to be able to manage through that. And I think the first place to go is that gratitude piece. Hey, I'm thankful for today that I'm able to walk into this business that I own, and I was provided this opportunity to be able to balance other people out, give them an opportunity to make money, give them an opportunity to provide for their families, give them an opportunity of purpose. In a sense, when you connect with these people that you work with and clients and customers, whoever they are, a lot of times you really get close to them as well, and it's this extended family that you end up having. But that piece of gratitude and really checking yourself and how you do that is important for you to be able to balance out the piece of the relational piece of that with the people you work with.
I love that. I love that. And on the topic of gratitude, so let's shift a little bit and talk
All right.
about how creating that balance, creating that harmony in your life, right, between work and life, having gratitude, checking your emotions, how much of a positive impact that has in your home life, right? So this is anybody that lives with you, that you interact with on a day to day. So whether or not you have a partner or spouse, we're all moms, so obviously our kids, and how that really impacts. Because I think we were talking about this a little bit before, and one of the things that I really believe and why we started with this topic specifically is that a lot of times as moms, we believe that it is selfish to take care of ourselves, right? Like mom guilt is real. We tend to always put ourselves last. And if you think of something as simple as going to the gym for an hour, but you have a packed week with the kids, that tends to be the first thing that falls off because you feel like it's something for you, right? Like it's like, oh, well, that's not the most important thing because the kids have XYZ. Um, but if there's one thing that I know you and I have both realized, because we have talked about it so much, is that when you pour into yourself and you are dedicated to showing up as your best self, it is not selfish. It positively impacts really everybody who comes in contact with you, but especially at home, especially your children. So, yeah, I just think
So
it's huge.
I've adopted a mindset of being a lifelong learner, but also being a lifelong developer. It's like self-development, self-growth, because when you're in a leadership position, or even just as a mom in a solo, handling your home, your children are watching. Your home life is looking at you, if that makes sense. And so, how do you download? How do you decompress? There are a lot of pressures on us. So it really is important to adopt that mindset of, hey, whatever I can take in for myself that would be able to help me to balance myself out. Yes, it's going to benefit everyone around you. We spoke a little bit about it in the first episode. It gives you peace. It gives you clarity. It gives you those things, and that's how you want to show up for your family. You don't want to come home and you are going off about work and all the ups and downs. And what do you think your children are going to see? I don't want anything to do with that. This is how my mom is coming home, and she's consistently stressed, and she doesn't, she can't seem to get things done for herself. Like, they are watching. So how do we want to foster our families? How do we want to be able to help our families thrive within the context of what we're doing? Because what we're doing is essentially not just for us, it's for our legacy, it's for our children.
It is, it is. And the other piece of that is like, obviously, we don't want to transfer our stress and overwhelm to our kids or to our spouse or to our partner. But also, we want to lead by example. Like, and we talked about this in the, as far as people we work with, of course, we want to lead by example in our business, but also leading by example in our home and teaching children how to create harmony in their life, teaching children how to, you know, deal with stress and overwhelm and how to handle that. I was having a conversation the other day with my son, who is 16, and, he was frustrated with some of his teammates on the football team because he feels like they don't take it as seriously as them. And I was so stinking proud of how well he was able to articulate like his self-awareness and emotional intelligence at 16. And, those things are a learned behavior. And so it's important that we are leading by example in all areas of our life, not just in business, but also in the home.
And to piggyback off of that a little bit, Erica, I'm really firm on meeting my commitments. So if I say I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it. Um, that is huge for my children too. So they have to see it. If they see mom's schedule and mom's schedule shows that she's got 4 days of working out, she's got these appointments, she's got these meetings for clients and Zoom calls for other things, and I'm just missing appointments, I'm constantly late, what am I teaching my children? That is not facilitating their success. That is not showing them what's important and how to lead with purpose in their life, but also having a balance to that. Hey, we have a schedule to this. We're able to meet, those commitments. We're rising on time. We're going to bed on time. We're balancing out our day. It really does show them that. So I love that you said lead by example, because I also utilize in my home lead with purpose. My children want to sign up for sports. If that's something that they want to do, you are going to do that sport for the rest of the year. You're not just going to give up on that. You said you wanted to commit to trying this. That's what you're going to do. And it teaches them a way to balance. It teaches them to also be accountable to themselves and
Yes.
really affect themselves. So it really all comes, like I said before, full circle when we're trying to live that work-life balance and show others around us that, it is doable. It is doable. We can do this being a high level leader, whether it's in corporate or whether it's in that entrepreneur lifestyle.
I love that. I love that. And then that, of course, trickles into, everybody else in our lives because we don't just have our kids in our immediate family and the people we work with. We
That's
also have
correct.
the other people that we care about in our lives. So, of course, it trickles out to strangers. I mean, everything has a ripple effect, but more specifically, kind of like your extended family, who I would consider like an extended family. So, this would be like your friends, your actual extended family, the people who, when you show up, deserve your best self, right? Like, I think often I've had like the same five closest friends for 20 years. We all live in different parts of the country. We all are in different career paths. And so when I get together with one, all, any of them, it's really, really precious time. Really precious time because we don't see each other every day, right? And it usually requires a financial commitment because we are traveling somewhere. And the one thing that I try to be extremely, extremely intentional about in my life is when I set aside time to decompress and be with my friends and it's fun and it's, all of those things. I'm really intentional with that time. So I'm not bringing the stresses from the other areas into my life and letting it impact. We've all heard, work hard so you can play hard. And it's true. Like rest and relaxation are just as important and just as impactful as the work, the physical work. So, just for me, it's how it impacts everybody, even in that extended family, too.
So really the theme of this is impact, and it's impact in people in our lives. For my personal life, I have a huge family. Huge family. I still have grandparents living. I have tons of cousins. My dad is one of eight. My mom is one of eight. So there's a lot going
That's a
on
big
with us.
family.
And then on top of that, we're involved in ministry. We're involved in ministry with our church. And so those are some of the other areas of my life where I connect with other people. I'm also involved with a lot of women who call on me for certain things. Whether it's yesterday, actually, I had someone call me. She was going through something at work. I gave her about 5 minutes. I said, I got 5 minutes to give you, girl. And here's what I want to tell you. And by the end of the conversation, she left like, thank you so much. I'm going to implement that for myself. And so for me, I live my days to be able to impact others. But when it comes to the extended family and it comes to the others that are really important to us as well, just like you said, you have to plan that out sometimes. You have to be able to map that out. Okay, I'm going to do maybe lunch, once every other week with my mom. And really, what are you going to do with that time that you have with her, that 60 minutes or 2 hours that you're going to have with her that day? How are you going to impact that for her? Maybe she's needing something in the moment that you be able to provide for her. There's going to be moments that you need that for yourself, though, too. You need to be able to have someone speak a little bit of life into you because maybe you're a bit drained. And so that's where a lot of times maybe our home life, our work life isn't going to give us that, but we're able to get that from other areas. And I get that from women that I connect with at my church. I get that from being a ministry leader within my church as well. So I'm able to commune, but that comes very far in between. I schedule those out maybe every 3 months, you know. So it really is for me about how I'm making impact within that work life balance and how I'm scheduling that out for myself and how I'm able to reset, how I'm showing up, what are people seeing in me, how am I serving other people. I mean, it's huge. That's important.
It is. It is. And honestly, I kind of feel like that's the perfect place to end because it is it is. And if there's anything that I want anybody listening to know truly is that showing up and becoming the best version of yourself, it is a positive impact to everybody who comes in contact with you. It is not a selfish act. And yeah, I would say that's that's really it.
Love that. I love
Yeah,
that.
I don't think there's a lot more to say. So with that being said, we appreciate everybody who's tuned in. We will have part three coming soon, and part three is going to be about how becoming the best version of yourself and creating work-life balance leads to a more fulfilled life. And Venus will be joining me again. So thank you so much, Venus.
Thank you so much, Erica. We will see you soon.